Not sure
Welcome
Joe's
to
here.
Red Zone. Yeah, I'm here. Welcome to Red Zone DFS Week 12, Sunday, main slate. Hopefully everyone had a great Thanksgiving. You got some winnings on Thursday night, and let's get to it, boys.
Oh, man. I thought we were going to have to go Chris Farley there from Wayne Drill 2, like, check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
The Wi-Fi is acting up tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Testing, check 1, 2. Oh,
so,
my God.
quarterbacks.
Let's do it. I feel great about this week.
We have a very interesting I think we got some very interesting pricing this week. And I think one quarterback is priced terribly, which will probably lead me to have zero of him. But I'm interested to hear what you guys have. Let's say, I don't know, 6,700 and up. Where are you guys going?
Joe, why don't you lead this one off? I always go first. Jim goes second. Jim goes first. Take the lead here, buddy.
Yeah, I really like Joe Burrow this week. He says 6,700 and up. 6,700 Joe Burrow. I am quite sure that Jamar Chase is back this week. I think Tennessee is, they're a good team and all, but I think Cincinnati is a really good team. I think this could be a back and forth game, and the public is all over the Titans just to smash the Bengals this week, which tells me that Burrow is going to have a week to show out in Nashville. So Joe Burrow is my favorite play, especially if Jamar Chase is back.
Yeah, I can't really argue that one too much. If Chase is back, that's going to be pretty good. My favorite up top, it's very close between two guys, but because he's $1,200 cheaper, it's going to be Justin Herbert for me. Yeah. The Arizona Cardinals have now gotten to the point where guys are just literally refusing to tackle people. That team is in absolute shambles. They have zero pass rush. I thought that the Niners are going to be in big trouble because their right tackle is a fucking turnstile. And he's absolutely terrible. But didn't have that problem because you know why? He's blocking a 900-year-old JJ Watt who can still get his hands up and block a pass and things like that. But their pass rush is just non-existent. It's not there. You can make any excuse you want, but Herbert at $7,000 going up against Arizona. I really like it because his stacking options are still very condensed with the injuries now. And I cannot get enough of him this week. I do like Joe Burrow a lot though, Joe, because everyone, like you said, is kind of just down on him all over the Titans. We know how that usually works.
Yep.
Yeah, and both of those guys are in my 5, so only 5 quarterbacks this week. Looks like we're on the same page, so I think we're in for a good week here. But I'm gonna pay up. I'm gonna get up to Mahomes as much as I can. Yeah. The guy's just been a freaking Terminator. 30+ points in the last 4 games. Like the Rams have officially folded shop. Put the close sign in the front window. Stafford's not going to play. Now, again, my biggest concern is like does Kansas City like even have to play the second half here?
Yeah, that's my biggest issue.
But I think we've seen in these games like they will keep the pedal down until like that game until the nail's officially in the coffin.
Yeah,
so
it's not like some other sports like baseball.
Right.
If they get up big, they'll put like random pitchers in and shit like that. Like, I mean, the Niners were up 38-10, and they didn't put the backup quarterback in until like 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Right. And that game was over, halfway through the third.
And I think there's an opportunity here. Like, even if it is a 3-quarter game for Mahomes, like he's probably going to do pretty significant damage in those 3 quarters. Yeah. Like, he could very easily throw for like 4 or 5 touchdowns in 3 quarters.
He could throw for 5 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, totally. So
I mean, the Rams are cutting, like you said, the Rams are at the point where they're cutting just regular starters
starting running back, and Stafford's not going to play. Again, they're in shambles, but I don't think the Chiefs want that number 1 seed. Like we've seen in past years, like how valuable that 1 seed is. There's only one team that gets a bye this, in the new format. Like they're going to absolutely pound these guys. So I'll pay up for Mahomes, mainly because I think there's some pay down options at running back this week I like. So it opens some things up. So
the one guy who I was talking about at the opening, who I think is mispriced at $8,000, is Lamar. This guy hasn't had a 2-touchdown game in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not playing him.
$8,000 is way too much money. It has nothing to do with Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got an okay defense, whatever.
Yeah.
He's got nobody to throw the ball to besides Mark Andrews. And the offense, the offense is just an absolute shambles. He could get you there, sure.
Yeah.
But I would rather any day of the week pay $1,000 less for Herbert or $1,200 less, $1,300 less, for Burrow. I just don't see it this week with Lamar, especially at that price.
Yeah, I'll go $200 more and just play Mahomes naked.
Like, 100%.
That. So I just can't do it. He hasn't rushed for 100 yards since week 3. Like I'm out on
all right.
Lamar.
So below 6,000, Vin, where are you going then?
Well, I have a guy right at 6,000 that I'm going to go to because I continue just to attack the Raiders every week, and it seems to be my lineups that do the best. So I'm going to go to Mr. Gino this week. They're in a great spot coming off of a London trip. And, I think they just –
they're coming off
even if the Raiders show some life.
They're at home.
Yeah.
The Raiders' defense is not good.
No.
The only thing that is slightly concerning, which it shouldn't be that big of a concern, is Nate Hobbs should be back this week. That is their nickel corner, and he's one of the best in the league. So when he actually plays, you actually see a significant improvement in the Raiders' defense overall. But that means you're mostly not going to slot receivers. Like DK is still going to get his on the outside against the Raiders corners that are non-existent. This is going to be a high-scoring game. This, I think, is going to be one of the highest-scoring games on the slate. Both pass defenses are god-awful.
Yep.
They're 25th or worse in the league in almost every single category. I think Geno Smith's a great play. 6K, you can't ignore it. I think he can go for 24 plus this week, no problem.
Yeah, you have very clean and clear bringbacks if you want to do it that way. You have, Jacobs and Devontae, which we'll talk about. But I barring any weather concerns up there in the Northwest, which I don't think there's any problems, I love it. So, Jim?
You guys make all valid points. I have this weird gut feeling that this is a massive trap game for Seattle. Everyone's been pounding on the Raiders and how shitty the Raiders are, and everyone has been pumping the fuck out of the tires of Seattle and Geno this year. He hasn't had that disaster game yet. I don't know. I don't have any valid reason for not playing it. I'm just not going to play it.
I would say I agree with you, except the Raiders are just really bad defensively. Offense, they can still play. They will still do some stuff, but I agree. It is a weird spot, but the Raiders are just too bad to keep ignoring. So until they prove me wrong, I'm not gonna.
I get it, and I understand, and I bag on the Raiders more than probably a lot of people. I think I would rather play Brady for $200 less this week, versus the Browns, or I have a massive amount of interest in Lawrence at 5,500 versus Baltimore's poor defense.
I love the Jaguars this week.
Okay. Why don't you talk about them? Because I did not have them on my list here.
Oh,
no,
man.
I just love the Jags this week. I think they're in a prime spot to have a great day.
All right. I was not really on the Jags.
Dude, coming off a bye.
Any specific
at home versus the Ravens, who are not good. They have very easy, clear stacking options. They have my favorite option to do, which is stack the running back with the quarterback, with the receiver and Kirk. If you don't want to do that and you're too much of a pussy, you can do Kirk and Ingram, who's only 3,300. I love them this week. Ownership not quite available yet, so I don't really know where that's going to be. So it's, we're doing this pod early on a Wednesday, so we don't have a ton of information, but that's something that I really have a lot of interest in this week. And I have one more down here, but I'll let Joey go because I know he's
real quick. I know you mentioned the Bucks.
Yeah, go ahead,
I was on them earlier, but it looks like they're going to get a pretty good amount of rain in Cleveland this weekend. So Sunday, it's supposed to be like a 98% chance of rain all day. So just for what it's worth. I mean, I don't think it affects Brady as much, but I have other plays in that game I like. So
yeah, I would rather just play Lawrence, like I said. That was more of a I would rather play Brady than Geno.
Yeah. That makes sense. Who's the other guy down there, Joe? You're about to go on.
I think this is one of those plays. He's not good. I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback much longer, but it's just a game flow, and that's Davis Mills. Houston is going against Miami, and it's just because Miami's defense has been nothing special. The Houston's not going to be able to run their typical offense they want to run, which is running with Pierce 30 times a game. Sure. I think Miami gets out ahead very early, and Houston's going to be forced to throw. There's a lot of options here with Cooks. You can even go with one of their 3 tight ends that are dead men. You can go with Nico Collins, which is close to dead men. There's a lot of guys that get a lot of garbage time catches and a lot of yards and possibly some touchdowns here from Davis Mills at 5,200. I think it's worth a shot in a few lineups. Definitely not something I'm going to the bank with, but just a couple lineups with Davis Mills can possibly get you there.
I definitely didn't have that one on my list.
I can't do it.
I thought you were going to talk about your guy.
Heineke. I think Heineke, again, like we talked about last week, I love him, just not for fantasy.
Yeah. I can't do the Davis Mills. I mean, my 5th guy is Tua on the other side of that. I don't know. They're coming off the bye. I think this could just be a game where, like, similar to Kansas City, this thing's freaking over. Like,
no, yeah, and that's why it's all like Mills garbage time. The Texans aren't going to run the ball every play if they're down by 4 scores. You know what I mean? So
my only fear, I get what your theory is and like your strategy behind it because it makes a lot of sense. My only fear is like they've gotten worked a couple times and like he still doesn't really like do much. You know, like he's gotten 18 points twice this year. You know.
Yeah, I think that they're just going to run the flying fuck out of the ball in that game.
And my only fear, Joe, with that, sorry to cut you off, Jim, but like if Mahomes and Herbert and some of these guys are in good spots, Burrow go nuclear this week, like who's, you know what I mean? Like you got to have the stack to go with it, not just Mills, right? So like who's doing that for you? You know,
Cooks,
I guess, but like Cooks is just like barely contributing because he wants.
No, your points you make are valid, Vinny. But
I know I get you can do it. There's crazier things like a little Sam Darnold would be crazier than that, you know. But
I can't. I mean, you know, I'm all about playing crazy plays. I can't get there.
Yeah, I got you guys. You guys were right last week with Mr. Unlimited. He did not do well.
I just don't know. So like, he's throwing the ball into the ground on like 2nd and 3rd down. Like, I just.
Speaking of teams that are just cutting starters, like I'm just out on that. So, what about running backs? I mean, do you guys have anyone else?
No, not worth talking about. No. There's some other bathwater down there that's I don't want to. We don't need to talk about that.
Good luck if you take some shots down there. But running backs, what are we doing up top? Because there's a few guys. I mean, up here that are expensive. Who's your favorite above like $7K? Like, where are we going?
For me, it's Austin Eckler. Again, same reason I'm going to be playing. I'm probably going to have about 50% Eckler, and every single lineup I'm going to have, he's going to be paired with Herbert. The Arizona's just terrible. We don't really need to talk a whole lot more about it. Arizona's playing at home. So if anything, I like that just because I think that, the Chargers aren't great. And I think that the Cardinals might be able to keep it close. But Eckler had a bit of an aberration of a game last week. Only had, I think, 1 or 2 catches. I think he gets right back on form. 5 to 7 receptions, 100+ yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns. Give it to me.
All right, Joe, above 7K.
Yeah.
What do you like?
I love McCaffrey this week. He looks electric, man.
Yeah, he looks
like
good.
He is healthy. He is fast. What I love more is they're really involving him in the passing game. Since he's become a Niner, 8 catches, 4 catches, 7 catches. I mean, he has almost 25 targets in 3 games. So they're heavily using him. He's just not been getting in the end zone really, but if he gets you 2 touchdowns with that volume he's getting this week against New Orleans, which is not good, and the Niners need to keep winning right now. Like the fact that the Niner fans need the Raiders to beat the Seahawks this week tells you everything you need to know. So I think they're going to full go McCaffrey. They're in a playoff push right now. I think McCaffrey's a hell of a play.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with it. The only reason I don't have him as my top guy is just because there's so many mouths to feed there. To your talking point earlier on one of the teams, like it very well could be. It probably should be him, but there's also like Kyle Shanahan's the coach, and who knows what the hell he's going to do on Sunday. But you're right. He looks fantastic. Like, he looks amazing. There's nothing wrong with playing him at all. I'm going to go back to the King and out of Nashville there with Henry. There's one rule with Derrick Henry. It's you play him as the season goes on, as teams are banged up and wear down. Yeah. They get him at home. Cincinnati is a big AFC game. I like Derrick Henry is my favorite guy above 7K. I just think they're going to lean on him a bunch. Thank God Tannehill's back. At least he's like somewhat of a serviceable quarterback there. Yeah, I'm just going to play Henry up here. That's my favorite guy this week. So,
all right,
moving down
7th, so 69 and below.
You can't ignore Kenneth Walker.
I'm going to keep playing him.
I mean, Raiders defense is terrible. Kenneth Walker's really good.
Ken Walker's going to be like 8K here pretty soon. Just be ready for it. You guys love Jacksonville, so ETN is he going to be part of your stacks there?
Yeah, 100%. I won't talk about him a whole bunch because I kind of already talked about it. I think that, Joe's point about the Miami game, I'm going to go to some Dameon Pierce here because the only shot that they have to keep this game close is just giving Dameon Pierce 25 to 30 carries. And Miami's run defense is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. So it's a risk, but his price has come down a little bit. So I'm willing to take the risk for the chance of him popping a big one. Miami's tackling in the secondary is not good. So if he is able to break past the first level, I do think he can pop a couple of big runs. And if he can't get in the end zone, I still think he gets, probably 2 to 3 catches. And then I do think he goes over 100 yards. So at 6,100, I'm willing to take the gamble and go there.
I did this at quarterbacks, but I like the other side of that, man. I'm going to play a decent amount of Jeff Wilson this week. He's a really good running back. The Niners just had no room for the guy, acquiring McCaffrey. Mostert is best as a change of pace guy. Jeff Wilson's the hammer, right? And so we saw him 17 carries.
Mostert did not practice Wednesday either.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's even better. So,
I'm fine playing both of these guys in a lineup.
You can do that for sure.
That's something that, especially if ownership comes out and everyone's flocking to Jeff Wilson, that's a way to get really different within a game. And you can still stack a passing situation from a different game and do a little mini running stack, because I think a lot of people are going to go to the Tua stacks. I do think that some people are going to go to Mills just because of his price. And I think you can just play those two at really reasonable prices and get quite a bit of production out of them. And kind of save the money elsewhere.
Well, I think the other interesting thing was he had 5 targets in his last game too.
100%,
So I'm going to mix him in with some of my Tua stacks. But we're up below that, in this 5K range. Anybody you guys jumps off?
Do you have anybody like Fournette and down?
Not particularly. The only person I'm somewhat on is possibly Latavius Murray at $5,000. He's going against Carolina. I know Carolina's got a good defense and all, but they're still Carolina. He's the only back left. They're just like
no.
They don't have anyone left.
They truly have nobody left.
Oh, they do. They have Marlon Mack.
Okay, they pretty much have.
But like Latavius Murray had 17 carries last week, and that was with Melvin Gordon still playing. So I mean, I think the floor is he's getting at least 15 carries plus. Very touchdown dependent, but they're getting on the goal line. They're giving it to Latavius Murray on the goal line, not Marlon Mack. So at 5K, it's something you can't ignore. I'm going to have some Latavius Murray going.
I am too. And the other guy, I have him in a bunch of best ball leagues because I loved him in college, is Rachaad White for Tampa.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dude, playoff Lenny is banged up.
He's got a hurt hip. That's an old man injury.
A hip. He's only seen 10 carries once in the last 4 games. Like, this game's supposed to be sloppy in a rain game. Like, Rachaad White here sitting down cheap, 5,100. I think he opens a lot of doors, man. At the very least, I think we see a 50-50 split here. So it's not, you don't want to split, but there's a chance Lenny doesn't play. And if he doesn't, I'm firing him up in all formats.
Yeah. I don't have like a ton, like I like all these guys down here. I just don't know exactly how much I'm going to get to all these guys. I'm going
to get to them mainly in my home stacks. And if I'm going Tua and paying up for Tyreek and things like that, like, I think that's what I meant earlier. Like, there are some guys down here that open some doors for us this week, but that's pretty much
the guy. I think the guy that I have the most interest in is Isaiah Pacheco. I think he has a ceiling of 18 to 20 points this week. And he kind of hasn't had his breakout game, but the usage is there. The last game he was getting used a lot, even though it was kind of a passing game. McKinnon plays a lot in those games. It's not going to really happen this week. And I think he's a guy in a timeshare that you can take a gamble on that could really pay off well. So that's kind of where I'm going to go.
Call
one-off wide receivers.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is a one-off wide receiver.
That's a good one.
I don't want to stack them, but
you just play. You don't
Seattle,
need to. Yeah,
he's good, dude. As much as I bash on the Raiders, he's so good.
Well, he has the most targets in the entire league. He's only catching 55% of them because Derek Carr is awful, but he's still getting the most targets in the league, and he has like third most receiving yards. He's top 3 in almost every category still. And Seattle is nothing special on defense. So,
no.
Yeah, Devontae is a great one-off this week. And he's angry. Like, he's fighting with refs. He's like taunting players. Like, he's getting 15-yard penalties. He's like
punching cameramen trying to go into like after the game and stuff. You got to keep playing steroid boy, apparently Nuke up here at 7,700 according to Chaveri's board. Whatever he's taken, he's freaking good.
Keep taking it, buddy.
So I'll keep playing. I'm pro steroids, so I
am too. I don't care.
Whatever. Shoot it up, baby. I like Nuke up here.
I'm with you guys. I like Devontae and Nuke as one-offs. I think that Debo is an interesting one-off this week.
So he didn't practice today with the hammy, questionable.
So if he doesn't play, then I'm just putting a like triple stamp titanium level lock on Brandon Ayuk, and I'll just play him in every single lineup that I can get him into.
Yeah,
but I do like Debo as a one-off. I think that obviously the secret's out. That Kyle Shanahan, if can, would prefer to run the ball 30 to 40 times a game. Teams that can or will try to just make Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball. And look, Jimmy has gotten more comfortable and he's been playing great. In this last game, he made some throws under improvisation situations that I haven't seen him make before. And I mean, it's probably got Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch wondering why that they gave away 3 first-round picks for a guy who they're probably going to cut next year. If
Maybe
Jimmy
not
keeps
cut,
playing,
but yeah.
well, I mean, if
Won't
Jimmy
be the
keeps playing
starter.
like this, there's no way that you can take that away from him. So how
Totally.
that relates to fantasy and why we care is the Niners do have some good elements in the passing game, right? If teams are going to load the box and make the Niners throw, I think you have to consider Debo or Ayuk in your lineups. Ayuk only had the 2 catches last game, but they were both touchdowns. So, those are my 2 kind of Niners one-offs that I'll be sprinkling into lineups here and there.
Yeah. We talked about Terry McLaurin. I mean, I'm just going to keep playing him. The guy just gets peppered with targets. He's playing Atlanta.
Stop. Are you guys going to just play Amari Cooper from now on?
Okay, so I have him on my list, but again, this weather makes me a little bit nervous because Jacoby Brissett has an arm equivalent to like a minor's,
but that's fine.
10-year-old pitcher.
That's why I like Amari Cooper.
I have him on my list. He will be played this week.
Just play him.
So
he continues to get 10 to 14 targets a game and just produces. Right? Their tight ends are all banged up. Tampa's weakness is their passing defense. He's probably my favorite one-off of the entire week.
Yep. Can't deny it there.
Next guy, one-off, scary Terry McLaurin. Going against a terrible Falcons secondary, 5,800. That is he's just mispriced. He should be $1,000 higher. He has a lot of upside. He's good.
Don't worry about the fact that I mentioned him a minute ago, but that's okay.
Yeah,
my AirPods have been going in and out. The listeners are definitely hearing more of this podcast than I am right now. So,
I mean, with that, I know you like Cooper. DPJ's been playing well, so from a price savings standpoint, like 4,800 is not the worst, but I got a few bargain bin guys this week, so
let's go down finish there.
Off. Then
let's go down.
I mean, I've got. I'm here. I'm curious to hear who you were going to.
All right, let's do a little round robin. Each of us just keep firing off bargain bin plays. So who you like? Okay, I don't know what happened with Joe. Joe's freaking out. Something's happening. Corey Davis, Jets. Milf Hunter's back. Bounces back in a big way versus the Bears' terrible pass.
So the Milf Hunter's benched, but that's fine.
Not yet, not quite.
They announced it today that Mike White's the starting quarterback, Vince.
Even better. Perfect.
So
all right, Corey Davis. There we go. That's back.
Greg Dortch at 3,100. Don't think Rondale Moore is going to play.
Dortch didn't practice today either with an injury. So
yeah, he's fine.
Just be careful. Treylon
Marquise
Burks.
Brown. Hollywood is going to be on a pitch count on Sunday, so he's playing, just not a full game. That's going to dig into Dortch's play time as well.
All right, and he is super cheap, 5,300. That's kind of interesting. But Treylon Burks, 4,200, Tennessee. That's a bring back for your Bengals stacks, Joe. He looked freaking awesome versus the Packers last week. Thank you.
Same area. Garrett Wilson, 4,300. Player hasn't changed whatsoever. The MILF Hunter can go dive into as many MILF muffs as he wants to this week because he's going to have plenty of time holding the clipboard. He can be swiping right on Tinder as he's holding said clipboard.
Do we need to get some Mike White stacks up in here?
It's White Mike.
Look, that's the guy I didn't want to talk about. But if you're going to mention it, then you only need to do Mike White, Garrett Wilson, and you can maybe throw in Conklin in there if you want to. But I'm fine with just playing Garrett Wilson to get to that.
Okay, yeah, we don't need to go into depth on that one. I will go back and play a little bit of Kendall Hinton here. Cheap for Denver, 3,700. Mr. Unlimited sucks, but 3,700, you can do worse. It depends, obviously, if Judy's going to play or not. But if he does not, I like it.
Tutu Atwell, I think, is an interesting play for the Rams. The only problem is that I don't like is that Stafford's not playing. That's kind of a disappointing thing for me.
Yeah,
but that's about
Bryce Perkins, baby.
Okay. Anyway, on to tight end.
Speechless.
Before we get to tight end, I would like to remind everybody that our podcast and YouTube videos are sponsored by Manscaped. Look, guys, it's never too early to play the holiday music. It's never too early to start thinking about gifts, whether it's for a friend, family, whatever. Maybe it's for your friend in your pants. You can make the season as jolly as you want to with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Nobody likes that. Then add in Manscaped's top line of shower products to have all the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack. So should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com and using code ZONE20 for free shipping, 20% off. Look, hook your friends, hook your family, hook your dad up with the ultimate Manscaped package, right? This is stuff that people aren't just going to go out and drop money on themselves. The people that you actually care about and yourself, you're going to show up. You're going to show up to, some Christmas events, maybe with some people you haven't seen in a while. You want to be looking good. You want to be smelling good. And if the pearly gates open downstairs, you want to be ready for that.
Hard to top that. I mean, I think you hit pretty much everything, but I'm with you, man.
Zone 20.
Stuffers, Zone 20. You've got everything there that you ever will need. I can't say any more. It's the best product that's out there. Don't miss out. Black Friday coming up, Cyber Monday. While you're doing your shopping for everybody else, get 20% off and free shipping. Come on.
Yep.
So, tight ends. Joe, are you live over there?
Yeah, for now, my mic and my headphones are working. So, yeah,
let's
roll.
get to tight ends and get out of here.
Let's do it.
Love it. At the top, you can't ignore Kelsey. That's an obvious one. I mean, 7,700 is a receiver, but he can have multi-touchdown game, no problem. I think that's an easy one. Mark Andrews, you guys been playing any Mark Andrews this week, especially on those Jacksonville stacks?
Yeah, I mean, he's really the only person that I care to play. I'm not gonna force it though. If I can't get there for whatever reason, I'll just go elsewhere. I do like him quite a bit. I don't know how much Kelsey that I'm gonna have just because I don't, like I said, I think that game could just get so out of hand at 7,700. It's like, obviously I'm gonna play Kelsey in my Mahomes stacks, but outside of that, I don't think I'll have a ton of him.
Yep.
I'm with you, man. As much as I can get to Kelsey, I will. I mean, at his price, like he's basically wide receiver one there, obviously. Yeah. I don't know about Andrews. I mean, he's a really good player. We talked about Lamar. He's having issues right now. I don't love it. I think Kittle at 5,300 is starting to come into his own, especially if Debo's going to miss this week. I think he's a pretty strong play, to be honest. We saw him explode on Monday night. I think they're going to keep feeding him. The offensive line there is finally playing well enough where he doesn't have to sit there and hold Mike McGlinchey's hand in every pass protection. So
we'll see this week.
Yeah,
that's a week to week thing. Unfortunately, Mike McGlinchey fucking sucks. So
that is true. Going down a little bit, I like Njoku, 3,600.
I'll go back to Moreau if Waller's still out. I think Juwan Johnson is actually probably my favorite tight end option of the week. He's been actually like shockingly consistent. And I think that, 5 for 55 and a touchdown versus the Niners is not totally out of the realm of possibility for him.
Yeah, not bad. Red Rifle starting this week?
I don't really know.
Why aren't they just starting Jameis? Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. And maybe it's a thing that, like, they're like, look, we suck anyway. And, like, Jameis doesn't know the fucking playbook or, like, doesn't know the checks. I mean, it's got to be something.
Like, Dennis Allen's going to go one and done there, not, like, playing with Andy Dalton. So, good luck with that.
I mean, he must – again, Vinny, he must have had some conversations with the owner and said, look, like, I can't stand this guy. And, like, If we're going to lose this year is the year to lose, and then we can go. There's a bevy of quarterbacks. They're going to have a high pick. They can trade picks to get up and take the guy that they actually want. I just can't do it.
I would.
Evan Ingram is another guy at 3,200. I have a lot of interest in, and then also Tyler Conklin with as Joey puts him, White Mike in there at 3,100.
I like it. Real quick note: Saints do not have their first round pick next year. That goes to the Eagles, who are the best team in the league with record wise. So rich get richer, and
maybe they can maybe they can trade the Toe King, Mike Thomas, and something else for a pick.
We got the Toe King. We got Slant Boy, Steroid Boy. Is a
Toe
full
King
stack.
I've definitely got some. I've also got some interest in Logan Thomas down at 3,000 there versus Atlanta. Atlanta's pass defense and defense in general is pretty terrible, and he is a starting tight end there. So I like a lot of these cheaper tight ends this week that are the starting option and that are the clear option on their team.
I have a little bit same kind of theory of thought process. Hayden Hurst at 3,300. I think since he's in kind of an interesting pivot off of some of the chalkier guys, and then with Call of Duty man back, Kyler Trey McBride at 3,100. I think he can do worse. He's at least a real quarterback. Colt McCoy. I just kind of felt bad for the guy having to deal with that on Monday.
I don't know. I think
I don't like Arizona. I'm just saying 3,100. He's out there. He'll probably get some targets.
Fine. So. There's just other people who are going to get more targets, I think, that I'd rather play, especially with Hollywood coming back. I mean, yeah, I don't know. He's okay. He could be fine this week. But
Joe, you have any discount Marshalls? And never mind. Joe's gone. So, all right. Moving on to defenses. For me, probably my favorite defense, which I'm sure they'll gain serious steam here, is the Chiefs at 2,800. I just think it's
too
an
cheap,
onslaught.
right?
2,800, dude. They're playing against a guy they have no one in Kansas or in LA. Nobody.
What are we talking about here? You know?
I honestly thought through do I play this guy because he's dirt cheap? And then I realized worst offensive line in the league. They just cut their starting running back. Their best receivers out. There's zero chance I'm playing.
Kansas City's at home too.
Yeah, play the mortgage on Kansas City, and if they don't, then just I'm sorry, but
yeah.
Anybody else defense wise? Joe, defenses, who you like?
Who have you guys talked about since I'm just returning?
Vinny just mentioned. We just pointed out that the Chiefs are 2,800 and playing the Rams, who are basically the Walking Dead on the field right now.
Yeah, that's solid play.
I concur.
Can't ignore the Panthers. Good defense. Denver's offense sucks. Panthers just seem to be that team that gets defensive touchdowns every couple of weeks.
Also playing at home. We like home defenses.
Yep. But yeah, Panthers are just that team. Last year they did it. This year they're doing it. They're a turnover machine. Their offense just can't produce anything.
We kind of talked about it. I think that the Kansas City D is going to get steamed up quite a bit. I have no problems playing Jacksonville defense at home. Lamar loves to throw the ball away, and with his cast of clowns he's got playing wide receiver for him. I mean, he's got DeMarcus Robinson, Devin Duvernay, James Prochet. I mean, these guys, they're either cast-offs or sound like they're creative players, default players inside of Madden. I mean, it's just
pretty much
at 2,500, a team at home that's coming off of a bye, that's had plenty of time to prepare for this team who's not 100% healthy. That is my dollar saving defense. And also once we start to see, ownership, if the Chiefs are up over 20 to 25%, I'll just drop $500.
I know, but I just don't think it matters this week. Honestly, just play the Chiefs. There's nothing the Rams offer that's going to scare me off. Like, just take the square, But
what
I
about
guess if you had to, I like the Jets quite a bit.
Jets? Yeah,
mainly
so Jets,
just because
Fields is really banged up.
Fields is banged up. It's his non-throwing shoulder, but we know dislocated or separated shoulder, torn ligaments. Like, dude, one shot to that shoulder. I don't care how much numbing injection he's taken. That's gonna hurt like a mofo.
Well, and he's dealing with a little hamstring too. So I mean,
the Jets have a good defense,
and this is what I hope is. I hope he starts and then not like get significantly hurt, but like enough to be like, why are we playing this guy? Let's get him out of here. Whoever the hell their backup is, they throw him in there, and the Jets defense dominates at a low ownership.
Yeah. Also playing at home, the Jets defense.
Playing at home
and defenses.
And I think if you could get there, I think you just play the Niners. Like they have momentum right now. They're playing out of their minds. Andy Dalton scares me literally zero. So if you can get there, do it.
The Niners almost had 2 defensive touchdowns last week. They had one where they blew the whistle, and then they had another one where the guy just dropped the pick 6. So it's expensive. I don't like spending up for defenses typically, but this week is a week that, like,
I think different. You can
in a larger field tournament. I think that you just kind of maybe have to do it just for the hell of it, just to see what happens.
At least get them in 1 or 2, just in case.
But that's it for me. I mean, for me, just to recap, Niners up top, Chiefs and Jags. I do like the Jets call at 3,300 if I can fit them in.
All right, Joe, bold call of the week. What do you got?
Oh, Jesus. Sorry, I've been dealing with so many technical issues. I'm losing it. But I think Cordarrelle Patterson finally breaks out again this year. He has a big game this week. I know the Commanders' defense has been looking good. They're getting Chase Young back, all these different things. I think it's a week where everyone just goes, fuck it, overlooks Cordarrelle Patterson. He gets that sub 2% ownership, and he has a breakout week. He is the best kick returner of all time. So Cordarrelle Patterson, bold call of the week, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards on the ground.
All right.
I like it. Jimbo?
I think that Garrett Wilson is going to go for 30.
Garrett Wilson for 30. That's a pretty sweet play there.
Yeah, so roughly we'll say 31, so that I'll put him at about 7x his price.
Vinny, what's your Manscaped Zone 20 call of the week?
Brought to you by Manscaped. I think both that Raiders and Seahawks go over 30 points. I'm going to have a few full game stacks with Geno, Metcalf, Walker, Jacobs, and Adams, and that just absolutely hits the nuts. That's what I'm calling this week.
All right.
So,
all right.
Good luck.
Well, everybody, good luck. We really do love when people reach out and say, hey, you guys help me out with this week. You guys help me out with that. We're getting this pod out early enough. So hopefully, if you guys have some questions, hit us up on Twitter at JJ McIntosh, at Vinny Levine 29, at DFS Joey Levine. Sunday morning, we've been doing a start sit or just any fantasy questions thread with On Wisconsin card breakers on Twitter. So go check that out and drop your questions, and we're all in the thread kind of hopping in, answering questions here and there. We're happy to do that. Let's get everyone's head together, and that's kind of how this podcast was born, is we used to just talk about fantasy and come to a conclusion every week of who we were going to play by talking. And they said, hey, let's just start recording this. So, do the same thing with us, interact with us on Twitter, and, hopefully it'll work out for the best for everybody.
No doubt. That's it for me.
Peace.
Good luck, everyone. Later.